Testing, testing. Talking, 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 talk, talking, 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 talking into the microphone. talking. Here are the people. Oh, let me turn this off. I have two monitors open because I'm trying to solve an editing crisis on computer number 1, and I'm going live on computer number 2. That's productivity. But there's a horrible echo, and I need to do away with that. What's up, everybody? I get asked a lot, Danny, why don't you ever go live at noon? I live in Cambodia. I live in Sweden. I live in France. Well, this is for you fuckers. You European or third world cocksuckers that are over there. Wow, a lot of you here. Somebody's jerking off in a Blader Boy shirt? Don't desecrate my merch. Don't. What's up, everybody? My favorite sex criminal? That's an honor, man. That's a category replete with upstanding men. You look faded. I'm fucked up, dude. I am coming off a bender, a 5-hour editing bender. Ha. Yo, morning from Australia. See, artificial lift is the kind of guy I'm trying to reach. Can you guys, does this sound okay? Let me know how the audio sounds. Oh, somebody just finished watching some Andrew Dice Clay. Devontae's in North Korea. A black man living in the kingdom of Kim Jong-un. Updates on Rat Dick Ralph. I know Rat Dick Ralph got a pentacle tattooed on the back of his hand, a satanic star. That should make it easier for him to get jobs. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to cruise with this right now. Have you seen The Dirt? I've read The Dirt, TR. I like the book way more than the movie. The movie started sweet, but then once I got into the middle part where it actually had to, be a movie, it lost momentum and goodness, and I wasn't into it. I still watched it, though. I think Motley Crue's funny. How the girl, Daniel? Me and the girl are really good. We had a great weekend together. I took 2 full days off because October was gnarly. Double day shoots, a 5-day shoot overall where we shot 2 videos the weekend before this last weekend. A lot of editing. It was a hustle to get that overboard video out. So I needed those 2 recovery days in order for me to refresh my mind to push through to the end of the year. Danny DeVito and Blader Boy Eiffel my tower. So basically I and Danny DeVito Eiffel Towered my girl, which would be an honor. I don't think anybody could get insecure with Danny DeVito's dick in their girlfriend's mouth. It's not like that guy's going to do anything. You are the man. Overboard humor is God. Danny, he's like you. He's chill like you for the crew, right? Absolutely. Audio sounds fine. Great. Young Potato has exquisite taste and is watching Big DOS TV. San Francisco is a shithole, right? I'm going to find out soon. I'm going to be up there this winter. You think Patrice O'Neal is top 5? I wouldn't go that far. I like him, though. Danny, in your Patreon daily routine, you said you're going to be reading an improv book. I myself have been studying the subject, is wondering what the book is. What the fuck is the book called? I don't know, dude. I got to look it up. I don't have it right in front of me right now. It's on the tip of my tongue, too. I've talked about it in class. I don't know why I can't remember the title. I'm sorry, that's the least helpful answer I could ever give you. You ruined that man. He's talking about Rat Dick Ralph. I don't think that was my fault. I think he was almost overdosing on acid and losing his job every week before me. If you ever listened to Come Town, haven't listened to it. I know that guy Nick Mullen's real funny. He's got my name. What do you expect? I've seen some of his roasting. It was solid. I've heard really good things about the podcast. Listened to a couple clips. Cabo Spring Break, how we doing, Danny? His live streams suck. Is that Bobby talking shit? I beg to differ. You see the fucking Sunfish live stream I did? That shit was electrifying. Jesus Christ. And this is tough alone, though. Trying to keep up with all these questions coming in. These noon ones are much more popular. All right, guys, I can't keep up with all this. I need Austin to read some of these, so I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent right now. I talked about on that daily routine video that I've been trying to be more grateful, be more present. And in doing that, I've realized how much I like the fall season. Does anybody else feel this? The slanty sun angle, the cool breeze, the crisp blue sky, it's good. And I go into this natural hibernation-like cycle as fall moves along, as we approach winter. And I really do think at this point it's the best time of the year. If you guys are stressed out right now, like I usually am, I was never able to appreciate fall. Last fall, you might remember that I was drinking in most of my fucking videos. I put out a video at one point called Things Have to Change, where I was speculating about switching my main content over to a podcast and not doing the same style main channel videos anymore. But I've gotten a lot better at running my life. And now I'm able to wake up in the morning, pour a cup of coffee before I get to work, inhale deeply through my nose, and just take in the day. When I'm jogging shirtless, yes, always shirtless, around Los Angeles. And also, I have these headphones too, Bose headphones. And I don't want to get them sweaty because they're nice and expensive. So I wear t-shirts around my head as a do-rag, create a barrier between the earphones and my sweat. And I'm a little nervous about that because I go through some shoddy neighborhoods around here wearing what looks like a do-rag, and I don't want people to think I'm affiliated with a gang. These are the risks I take for physical fitness. But I was just out there thinking how great fall is. You guys might not appreciate it now because you're probably students, a lot of you. And when you're students, the end of the year is summer. Summertime. You get off in June, you get off in May. But I think that fucks up the human cycle. Because for me, when I'm done with my YouTubing, which my month-long break lands right on December, it's great. The squirrels are getting ready to hibernate. The bears are already passed out somewhere. You go home, the sun sets at like 3:45. Your mom brings you food. That's what I'm fucking looking forward to. I'm savoring this season because when you're in college or when you're in the workforce and your time off really comes in summer, I choose my own time off, bitch. But when your boss dictates that you get 2 or 3 weeks in August, or school dictates you get those fucking 3 months, you're hustling for internships. You got to go to the lake and you got to try to get some pussy. You can't truly relax and turn your mind off. So I encourage you guys right now to look around, to take in the beauty of this season. And this November for Thanksgiving, and this December for Christmas, for Hanukkah, maybe even Kwanzaa. That shit might be in January, though. I don't know. Relax. Take a week off. Put your feet up. Read a book. Get near a fire. A controlled fire in a fireplace. Not a wildfire or some sort of electrical accident. You know what I'm saying. And enjoy the present moment. That's what I want to say right now. Danny, the super hot girl I like knows about your content and likes you. I'm about to put a baby in her. Cameron Alexander, direct message me her on Instagram right now. Everybody in this live demands to see what she sees like, what she looks like. I don't care what she sees like. She can have terrible vision and I'd still fuck her. You know all these mofos been taking weeks off already. Trip Scarborough thinks you're all slackers. Just picked up American Psycho. Been loving it so far. American Psycho, the novel by Bret Easton Ellis. I recommended my girlfriend read that, and she loved it too, which is how I know that I'm not going to break up with her. She appreciates American Psycho. That, and I've said this before, along with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, were two of the books that made me want to become a comedian. You should film a bit at a golf course, says Sam Smith. The problem with the golf course is it's been done heavily. Cassidy Campbell's all over the golf course scene. Danny Duncan's probably the originator. Jackass back in the day. And now shithead, Balin Levine. He's ripping off Danny Duncan, of course. So golf courses are a little played out. Tyler is praising my comedic genius. I won't argue with me, man. Thank you. What is this week's video? This week's video contains us going and interfering with the democratic process, tailgating outside polling places, and then also we have a big rousing game of football. Speaking of the fall, that is the fall's sport after all. And it's not so simple as just meet up, play football. There's a storyline behind it. A lot of fun stuff is woven in. It's going to be good stuff. It's going to be creative. As long as I'm doing something new and creative every video, I'm happy. Cameron just sent me this broad's fucking picture. Danny, how about them Buccaneers? He's being sarcastic. The Buccaneers, is I'm sure a lot of you saw, got the shit kicked out of them. They got the shit kicked out of them bad. Danny, I bought Think and Grow Rich. Love this week's podcast. Bummed that we couldn't see Airsoft Fatty. Yeah, Grant, I was bummed too. Brooks, pussy coordinator Brooks, Airsoft Fatty, and Shirley's were all on the way to the house, and they called off en route, apparently. And it made it awkward. I had to tell you guys that Airsoft Fatty wasn't coming after we'd done that big intro and we told Austin he was going to make fun of him to his face. Wasn't ideal. I also felt a little distracted. I wonder sometimes if people can even tell the fucking difference between a podcast where I feel off and foggy and words I'm looking for, the connection isn't quite made between brain to tongue and I can't find them in time and I'm stuttery. If people can really tell the difference between that and when I think I'm fucking on. Sometimes I think they can't at all and it's just I'm all up in my head. I'm a harsh critic. But yeah, I'm glad you liked that one because I thought it was a little bit of a mess, at least for me in my performance. Dirty Dom was still solid. I like Dirty Dom. I thought he was cool. He gets a lot of shit, I guess. I don't know. I'm not wrapped up in the YouTube scene. Bryson saying he's surprised to learn how business savvy Dirty Dom was. Dirty Dom, guys, is a dude who was in David Dobrik's crew, by the way. He was on the podcast this week, and he says he now makes 70 to 100K a month managing OnlyFans girls, which is also what Nerdballer TV does. There was another instance where I couldn't think of the thing I wanted to say. Lorenzo, Nerdballer TV. I guess that's a good hustle. I don't know what sort of skills you need to be a good OnlyFans girl manager. Maybe the willingness to hit women. I assume that might come in handy. When is Austin dropping his rap album? Some of you guys might have saw Austin was rapping on the podcast, and it seemed to me a very disrespectful portrayal of African-American culture. He, as you might know, is the whitest person from a color standpoint that exists. Could be albino. And he gets up there on the microphone because Dirty Dom started up this little freestyle thing. And not only does he start sounding like a black guy, he starts sounding like a black guy who's out of breath, who's punch drunk, who's regular drunk. He starts sounding like Mike Tyson after half a bottle of Hennessy. And I just think, come on, man. We already call you alt-right, Austin. Your politics, your views toward race relations, they're already an issue. You got to get up there and do that when we want you to spit some bars. Clean up your act, Austin. Clean it up. Kyle thinks Austin practices that. Kyle thinks Austin looks in the mirror and pretends he's a big African American and just freestyles. What is the cleanliness of your room at this moment? Andrew is asking. Andrew, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Let's check it out. You can see the mirror over there. The floor is generally not fucked up. My bed is made. It's all right. I give myself a B+. For me, this is pretty high level. 1 second, guys. I got to check Cameron's checkout. 1 second. I'm an idiot. My phone was right over here. That was an unnecessary get up out of my chair. Okay. Let's see. Do you bend Mia over that weird pillow? You know my secrets, you dirty dog. I'm looking to see about this girl who apparently likes the channel. Let's go to all requests. Let's look for here. Cam 0413. Wow. She's got titties. She's certainly not my style, Cameron. Here we go, guys. She looks like she's got some titties, but I'm, on the whole, very disappointed. I don't want to give you guys her handle because I don't want her to see that I said she's disappointing looking, which she is. No reason to hurt somebody's feelings not on camera. Have you seen Tim Heidecker's podcast, Office Hours Live? He has a big Zoom call going for Patreon members during it and chats live with them on the show. Would you consider doing that? Chris G, I like that, actually. I've been thinking about doing that, making a higher tier for lives, because I want to actually be able to interact with you guys on a more individual basis. This is tough because I miss a lot of the comments coming out. And if I just read the comments word for word, every single comment, I, A, will get very far behind, and B, it'll kind of suck because a lot of it is just reading. And Bobby already thinks this live stream sucks. So that would be a good alternative, to do a $15 tier for lives and make it Zoom. Sounds cool to me. Danny, would you really beat the shit out of the guy in the mime video? Would you put that in a video? Kyle, it would be tough because I wouldn't want to get sued, and that's why I try to avoid fights the best I can whenever we're out filming. Bianca from the podcast most definitely blew Clay Matthews last night, says this guy Dylan. Bianca was a chick who was on the podcast. She arrived with Dirte Dom and Dirte's buddy Clay, and we got her and Clay to make out for the first time. They probably did fuck, but I'm going to be honest. She seemed like she was flirting with Leo a lot when the cameras went off. So God knows where that led. And also, she seemed a little too, how should I put this, intellectual for Clay Matthews. So I don't think it's going to last more than one bone out. Danny is a beta. That's why he doesn't fight. Yep. I don't know what to say. You're right. There's nothing else to say. Or do a PKA style hangout they do with the $50 tier, but you could do that with a $10 to $15 tier now, then raise it as needed. Shaw, how does that work? That sounds interesting. A hangout? Danny, I love you when you're like, oh, Bobby was just joking around. He's a good guy. Clay gets no puss. Trip, we watched. So Clay, again, guys, if you didn't see the podcast, is a big, muscular surfer-looking guy. Real good looking, really good body, totally cut up and tall. He looks like Clay Matthews, the NFL player. That's why I was calling him Clay. My girlfriend and I were watching his TikToks, though, last night. You might have saw me and Leo ripping into Rumon's recent work, where Rumon is operating a lemonade stand, and his girlfriend comes up and wants a lemonade. Basically, it was the shittiest piece of content that anybody could. Anybody here in this live stream right now, if they had a girl, could conceive a better sketch in 5 seconds. Maybe 10 seconds. You know how I know that? Because you guys are fans of mine, and you've watched enough good comedy to know the basics. Clay puts out worse content than Rumon. It doesn't make any sense. The only logic I can see that applies to it is that his shirt must be off every single video. Other than that, there are no consistent rules of drama, of comedy, of narrative. The one we watched last night, a guy comes into a bathroom looking for toothpaste. Clay says, "I've got some." And then two girls pop out of the shower saying, "I've got some too." End video, roll credits. I had to let it play again like 5 more times because I couldn't believe that was all there was to it. And somebody could possibly put something like that out on the internet for other people to watch and not realize they looked like a fucking dummy. Any updates on Sunfish 2.0? He blocked everybody who left any sort of negative comment because I think he knew if he didn't do that, they were going to linger like insects and just swarm him every time he posted a new video. Let's actually look right now to see if he's posted a new YouTube video. I have a hunch that he put a big delay in his posting schedule because he knows the next video he posts is going to get hammered by hate comments and dislikes. So let's see. Willie G Fitness on YouTube. What is going to come up? Oh, 5 hours ago. How to reverse diet. Let's see. Didn't get nailed by the Danny Mullen fans yet. It's only got 8 downvotes. Well, that's all right. His last video, however, has 132 upvotes and 741 down. And he managed to delete so many comments. It only has 9 comments on it. So, yeah, I think the onslaught has mostly ended. But it was devastating while it was in effect. When you competed back in the day, were you a guard pull kind of guy or a takedown and pass kind of guy? Ian, I think you watching my grappling in my YouTube video should give you the answer. I was a guard pulling bitch. I have terrible takedowns, and it's a big liability. Do I have a skincare routine? No. I just put some Cetaphil on my face when I'm in the shower, which is a face wash. Devontae says he does well for himself, though. Yeah, he makes a lot of money in this business. And he's got a lot of tips on longevity. Yo, Danny, a group of lads is planning a bit of a trip to Vegas. Any recs on which hotel to stay at? Zinni, when are you going? Because I might be in Vegas with a group of lads too soon. Any recommendations on which hotel? I think everything's cheap right now. If you stay at the Donald Trump Hotel, or just the Trump, as I guess it's called, it is especially cheap because I guess a lot of people are unwilling to stay there. And you can get insane value. But pretty much, Zinni, all over the strip. I think prices are so low right now that you would do yourself a favor. Because you use the word lad, I assume you're coming from overseas. Treat yourself. Go to the Bellagio. It's got a fountain. Go to the Wynn. It's got a CEO who's being sued for sexual assault. But he runs a damn fine casino. Shaw is explaining the PKA hangout. I like it, man. I like it. What's your worst crackhead experience? I don't know. Danny, was it hard making edgy videos when you first started? What did your parents think, friends, family? What motivated you to push through the roughness of first starting out? Quinn, it wasn't the edginess that was the issue. The issue was the lack of success. I was used to it because I had lack of success with my writing as far as the books. That's how I started my comedy career, for those of you who don't know. I remember, actually, that I kept it a secret from my parents until mid-2015. And I started writing these books January 1st on 2013. The 31st of December 2012 was when I decided to be a writer. I had a drunken epiphany on New Year's. But yeah, it wasn't for, was that 2 years before it got out? And this is what happened. I told my parents I wanted to be a writer, but I was always very, very vague as to how I hoped to achieve that goal. And my parents would come home and find me reading novels at Tuesday at 1 p.m. And they'd be outraged. Why don't you have a job? What the fuck are you doing right now? You're working part-time as a bouncer 10 hours a week, and you have a UCLA degree. It doesn't add up. You're wasting your life. The way I combated that is I had to move out of my parents' house, which I lived at their house for a little less than a year after college. Went to San Francisco, was working in the restaurants, and I think at that point they just sort of chalked it up to he needs to find himself still. which is totally valid. I don't think anybody, I can't say I don't think anybody. There are people like Arthur Rimbaud, I think his name is, the poet who was putting out immortal works when he was like 14. And there's John Frusciante from the Chili Peppers, who wrote songs like Under the Bridge and Give It Away when he was 21 years old. So there are people who find themselves when they're younger or at college age. I don't think it's the norm, though. I think more commonly people find themselves much later on. Therefore, my parents weren't threatening to disown me when I was working in restaurants at age 24 in San Francisco. But how my mom discovered what it was exactly that I was up to was she started a Twitter account. Her Twitter account recommended my Twitter account because we both had the same name, I guess, or however that data works. She checked out my Twitter account and then saw the link to my books and saw the promotional tweets for my books. I saw that she had started a Twitter account probably an hour after she saw mine, and I blocked it, but I was too slow. And she called me or texted me, and you know what? I think it was even worse. I think I was staying at my parents' house for the weekend, and when I was opening the refrigerator at 7 a.m., cloudy-eyed, my brain not even turned on yet, I hear from the living room, "Danny, I saw you write books. I think that's so great." And on the one hand, that's nice because she thinks it's great. But on the other hand, I thought, oh my God, the book she's referring to is one in which I go to an Asian massage parlor and get an index finger rammed up my ass. And I'm sure she read it because she's my mom and she's obsessed with me. And it was tough for a while. I didn't want to talk to it. I didn't want to talk about it because it was so unsuccessful. Even when I promoted the shit out of one of my books to everybody on my social media, everybody in my friends network, I would sell like 16 copies and make $9.32. So when they would bring it up at Thanksgiving, on family vacations, I remember they told my aunts, actually, or they told my aunt and my uncle one Thanksgiving, and that became the talk at the table, and I was so mortally humiliated. Because there's nothing worse than somebody talking about something that they're not successful at yet. A lot of times you hear airheaded girls who are in community college and are bar backing part-time talking to you about how they're going to be a doctor. Yeah, are you, sweetie? Well, you're 2 semesters in, and you got about 15 more years to go when you factor in the rest of undergrad and med school and residency. So why don't you shut your mouth until you're at least at the halfway mark? That's how it felt with the writing. And because, to get back to the original question, it was edgy and vulgar, I suppose it did feel a little riskier, and I was a little more embarrassed because with the edgy stuff, it's harder to come back into the real world. There's the bridge that separates 9-to-5 life and where I want it to be and where I'm at now. And once you start writing the Happy Endings Playbook, which is my first book, or Home, which is about jerking off into a frying pan and making a girl eat it, you're detonating the TNT that's underneath that bridge, and you're making it really hard for yourself to get back to the square life. So I think for that reason, the edgy work might have been a little harder. But yeah, man, starting out, even with the YouTube thing, was tough because you go out filming and people ask you once you interview them or once they are involved in your video, hey, where can I find this? And you give them your YouTube channel, they look at it, and you can just see the disappointment overtake their face as they see 316 subscribers. Oh, I just spent 15 minutes talking to this fucking asshole, thinking I was going to be featured on the internet, and here I see that he gets 22 views a video. Great. Say it was tough. I read all 3 of your books on the airplane to New Orleans, and I loved them. That's fucking awesome, man. Zacadelic, I appreciate that, dude. That's cool. I think there's some good stuff in there. I think at some points it's overwritten. I was so close to them because I spent, in some cases, 9 months, a year writing each one. It was tough for me to be objective and think, this needs to go, this is great, this sucks, get rid of this. Whereas with my YouTube videos, the weekly process makes it so there's no time to be precious. Not with books. You lose objectivity. And for that reason, I think I could have used a more critical editor. Some of the jokes, though, are good, formative Danny Mullen. Do you find the difference? I'm answering one of Bobby's questions because he came around and said he likes my lives. Do you find a difference in quality in your content when writing on a computer versus on paper? Where is most of your writing taking place, digital or paper? Bobby, I am a computer guy because I type faster than I write with a pen, and my handwriting is terrible. So I feel like when the ideas are just coming to me, I can keep up with the gods who I'm taking dictation from faster with my fingertips. And then also, when I write on a computer, it's on a cloud and I email it to myself too. So there are multiple copies. Therefore, nothing can get lost. What video has given you the most traction, the most viral run, the most viral one with the most views, or just a random older one with the help of the algorithm? One that's surprisingly very, very popular is How Big Is Your Penis?, which I still think is an awesome video. A lot of good writing. It's from the Vegas era, the Vegas interview era. Very good video, some very clever stuff in there. The high school reunion, of course, was my coming out party. The Nelk collaborations did a lot of great stuff for me too. Recently, though, the 4th of July video was huge. The jiu-jitsu video was huge. The fake white belt one, that is. And recently, it's been that aristocrats joke video and the showing up to work drunk. Petition to upload the deleted Sunfish live onto Patreon. Yeah, Artificial, I might start living more on my main channel because I do think it's good on the algorithm. And what's more, I think it's a really good practice for broadcasting. And I think it's a lot of fun. And I might make a secondary channel to upload those because I do think like the last one was really, really good. Somebody asked something. So how did you decide not to give up and keep going, even though it was really tough at some point? Vio is following up on me talking about how I kept going even when things looked bleak as far as my comedy career. I had no choice. I knew I would be dreadfully unhappy in any other line of work other than creating comedy. I hated my restaurant jobs. I hated my white collar jobs that I had for a little bit. And I realized that before I knew it, I would be middle-aged and then past middle-aged into early old age and then dead. And there is not much to lose by just trying. And if you fail, you can always go back to those shitty jobs. But if you're 55 and married and you have kids, you can't go back to being a comedian as easily. There you have it. So glad you put the pictures of the cum omelet on there. I fucking lost it when I saw them. Yeah! Zacadelic. Hell yeah, baby. Thoughts on coming to Canada? I'm getting my passport updated this December, and absolutely we will be doing some international stuff. What are your thoughts on the new Borat movie? Good question. I am repulsed by it. I am positively repulsed by it. And that hurts me because the Ollie G show on HBO is up there as far as my most formative comedic influences. To my written comedy, or to my video style comedy, I would say it's as influential as Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and American Psycho were. Loved that. Obviously loved the shit out of the first Borat, and I loved Bruno too. But it seems to me that Sacha Baron Cohen has completely lost his sense of playfulness. Even Who is America, I thought, was at least a little balanced, but this time it seemed like Sacha Baron Cohen had taken on the persona of all these late night talk show comedians. Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, these guys who were literally crying over Donald Trump being in office. I felt like when he was drafting that script, he was crying, he was angry, he was tweeting at the president and his family between drafts. And I think it made the video or the movie hopelessly tendentious, meaning it was trying to forward a viewpoint and it prioritized that over telling a good story or telling good jokes. Great example. I guess Sacha Baron Cohen at some point saw something on Facebook that he didn't like. He saw something having to do with Holocaust denial, which I obviously don't at all endorse Holocaust denial. I'm not an idiot. I know the Holocaust happened. But he, it seems, lost his mind over that and made it a point to write in that Facebook promotes Holocaust deniers into the script. It was unnecessary. It was a tangent. It was like, me, Leo, and Nico have been on the road a ton recently, and we have to take Ubers from my house to LAX, the airport. And they always show up, and now they have the front seat closed, so we all have to scrunch into the back. And the last time it happened, we thought we were calling an XL, and a Honda Civic shows up instead. We can't force our suitcases into the back. I try to slam it, and the trunk ricochets up into the air, and I have to take my suitcase out and put it on my lap. That seems to me a pretty good metaphor for him trying to shoehorn in this Facebook promotes Holocaust denial storyline in the movie. It was stupid when he went into the synagogue with a long nose and devil horns. It was distracting. It was unfunny. And that seemed to me how the tone of the movie was. An angry Sacha Baron Cohen writing sloppy comedy bits. There was way too many scripted moments, which are, if you saw the movie The Dictator, you know that Sacha Baron Cohen's glaring weakness is that he sucks at writing scripted comedy because The Dictator blew ass, and this felt like more of The Dictator. The Rudy Giuliani thing, I think, was not nearly as effective as the Ron Paul one. There was no playfulness. I don't think Rudy Giuliani really did anything wrong. It wasn't fun. It was just a political hit piece. From conception to publishing on Amazon, it was just a hit piece, and I don't think it was ever intended to be a coherent piece of comedy. Zacadelic, yeah, I did tell you to jerk off to Pandora Peaks, and I hope you did. Will you ever go back to doing short videos on the strip? I think that's some of your best content. Andrew, I think nowadays, because people like you support this channel, and I have this big budget, and it is my full-time job. I was working 40 hours a week at a restaurant when I put out that first one. I think I owe it to you guys to put out more than a 3-minute piece of content every week. So if I did something like that again, it would be a segment of a video as opposed to the entire video. And it's a little tough because you have to write quite a bit for those little Vegas-style interview things. There's a lot of writing involved for not that much screen time. So I've had to create a hybrid style where there are writing segments and there are jokes, but I also have to have a lot of passages dedicated to improv so I can get those 20 to 30-minute videos and feel like I'm giving you guys your money's worth. Would you rather be always hard 24/7 or never hard? Well, Imbezo, if I could actually never be hard, I suppose I'm going to have to go hard 24/7. But if I could pop a Viagra and get my dick up, I would go with pop a Viagra and get my dick up. Do you have a hard time finding a place to start off when writing a script for a vid? Sometimes, but I heard a newspaper journalist say once that on their deadlines, there isn't time for writer block because there simply isn't time. It's the same with me. I got a fucking week, dude. I got to start putting stuff down on paper at some point. You're pretty good at guitar. Well, that's not true. So I feel like the rest of what comes here might be you trying to reel me in. John agrees. He was very disappointed with the new Borat. Yeah, Borat 2 kind of sucked. Sorry, guys. I lost my place up here. I found it. Danny, are you aware that Mia has had sex with multiple members of the LA Rams? You got to send me proof, dude. Danny, I want a tier system. Ben, who's slowly becoming one of the most hardcore fans on here, you got to explain to me what you mean. I never played. Kyle, I did play in a band. It was called Juvenile Chicken Slayers, and I was the drummer. We had a song called Bestiality, song about fucking animals, and a song called Goats about fucking goats, and a song called Dark Carnival about fucking dead bodies. Shaw likes the main channel lives. Yeah, Quinn is saying that when you started out, you had the pseudonym Benedict Arnold, and he's theorizing that that was my out in case I needed to return to square life. Quinn, yeah, I think so in a way. And then also it was a way to avoid humiliation from the people I knew from college primarily, who for some reason I cared about their opinions. Yeah, no, you're totally right, though. Also, an employer can't search the Benedict Arnold when you're in an interview. They can search Daniel Mullen. They can't search the Benedict Arnold. Sam Smith says worth the $5. Congrats on 500 subs. Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's been cool. I'm not too excited about that because I don't get 500,000 views a video, but my views are really healthy. So I'm fucking super psyched the way the channel's going. Artie Lang or Jackie Martling? For me, that's Artie, dude, for sure. I'm not a gigantic Jackie fan. I don't get a lot of comedic people that a lot of other people love. I don't get David Letterman, for instance. I think David Letterman's a fucking dope, and he's the hero to a lot of my heroes. Jackie Martling, I'm sure, has a lot of pull as far as being influential to people, but I think Artie's way funnier. I'm currently reading The Secret. I already have read The Secret, Dylan. It was one of the books I read this year that was really good. Don't skip this ad, Bojo. Do you have a hard time finding a place to start off when writing for a script? I need my affirmations from Danny. You gotta find those on your own, Ben. Why did Ethan from H3 become such a snowflake SJW? It happens to a lot of people, man. When they get big, I think they're scared about anything getting unearthed from their past that might ruin them. So they become super snowflakey as a means of armoring themselves. I saw Chris D'Elia put up a really enthusiastic BLM post right before he got Me Too'd. Brian Callen didn't really do any of that. He was pretty hardcore the whole time. Jimmy Kimmel got really snowflakey, and if you watch The Man Show, you know he did a lot of stuff, including blackface, including going around with a dildo in his pants, putting it right in front of chicks' faces. Yeah, I think David Dobrik, too. David Dobrik seemed like he hit the panic button and went social justice warrior. It happens, man. People get big. They want to make money. I don't think they're doing it the right way, though. Why not live stream the podcasts on Patreon or even the main channel? I'd love that. Alt-Right Austin could get that going beautifully. It's something. Most influential book you have read, Think and Grow Rich, for sure. Hard to pull as a busboy? Yeah, well, in San Francisco, and this is mentioned in my Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas video in the monologue, I think I had a cute enough haircut and I spent enough money on fashion that I did pretty well in the bars, just making out with and subsequently taking home drunk chicks while I was drunk, too. So you can pull it off. It's distracting. But there were definitely moves I had to make in order to I couldn't date girls pretty much. Once girls wanted to hang out the next day and get to know me better, I had to abandon ship and block them because I didn't want to answer those questions. I had no self-respect. Sorry, he was texting me. Nico. No time for Neeks right now. Here's proof that I get a fuck ton of pussy. Danny, my dream is to do radio. Would I be able to potentially interview? Been following you for 3 years now. Would be an honor. Quinn, the problem is a lot of people want me on their podcast, but they don't have a podcast and it's only audio. And they want me to come to their house and just hit the record button on the Notes app on their iPhone. So, I don't know, man. If you have a podcast or something, potentially. We ever upload a reaction to Leo on The Bachelorette? That's a good idea for the podcast. I think we should do that. Danny, I recently sodomized my neighbor's cat with my rock-hard cock, and I'm being charged for bestiality. Any words of advice from someone who may have gone through the same thing? Own it. Round up your dignity and the cat and move to a more enlightened state where bestiality is legal. All right, the gays have been doing it for years. You can go somewhere safe with your cat. Might be somewhere in South America, but, you know. South America, somewhere I got my eyes on for a new shoot. I want to open January, our first week back filming, in Argentina or Chile. Because those are two of the safe ones. If we go to Colombia or Venezuela, your Lord and Savior, Danny Mullen, might no longer have a head. If you like Borat, you're a simpleton. Certainly the new one. Ollie G is so superior to Borat. It's not even close, man. Get your eye on the pod. I hit him up, man, about shooting in Sacramento. I'm going up to Sac soon for my December break, and I really want to interview him. Sorry, guys, I'm a little behind. People are still reacting to Borat. It seems like everybody agrees with me. How tight is Mia Starfish? Does that mean her asshole? Because that shit is tight. Danny, have you ever traveled outside the U.S.? Which place was the best? All right, Thomas, you want to know? Cabo San Lucas on spring break. We would go in March, where it's still a little chilly, even here in sunny Southern California, which is where I was in college. But you get down there, and you're so near the equator, and the water is so blue, and the sun is so perfectly overhead, that you feel like you've been transported not just further south, but to a different dimension. You feel like you've died and gone to some sort of heaven because everything looks different. And Cabo San Lucas during spring break is the place where college girls who are already slutty and who already party a lot go to party more. Go to be sluttier. My last time going, and this is pathetic, I went the year after I graduated with some of my friends who were still in college. I had sex with 4 separate girls. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to give you the journalistic facts to let you guys know that if you're looking for a destination to visit this spring, COVID allowing, check out Cabo San Lucas during spring break. At one point, I spotted a chick playing in the waves. Her tits almost went down to her fucking belly button, and they were nice tits. They were massive, not just saggy. They had mass. And I said to my buddy Umber, him and I were really sarcastic back then. That's how we communicated with each other. I said, hey, I heard I'm not going to go talk to that girl right now. That was how we always communicated everything we actually intended full well to do. I heard I'm not going to chug this beer right now. I heard I'm not going to throw this baseball through Sig News front window. I heard I'm not going to go talk to that girl with the bouncing titties on the Cabo San Lucas coast, who I found out went to Colorado University, or University of Colorado at Boulder, and who agreed almost instantaneously to come out of the water and come lay down on the sand with me, and then agreed shortly after that to walk all the way down the beach, about a half mile, back to my hotel room. I heard I'm not going to make all that happen. She came back. We were in the hot tub at my resort. I put my finger up her ass, and she loved it. So at that point, I knew things were probably going to shake up into intercourse. Took her into my buddy's room because I lost the key to mine. Fucked her on the bathroom floor. Got her out of her bathing suit. The tits were indeed the biggest I think I've probably ever encountered. Umber came in at some point because him and I were very codependent, and he was a nosy fuck. And I said, I heard her tits are hella small. And at that point, Umber went over, and the girl allowed him to feel them. I ejaculated in the girl because she was on birth control. I went out into the main room of this hotel room. A bunch of my friends were already passed out for the day, but one, Woody, was half awake. He saw me around the bed with a boner. I picked up their room phone, their hotel phone, and balanced it on my hard cock. He said he made a point of not touching that for the rest of the trip. Then I took the girl back to Umber and Mai's room, and I fucked her again while Umber filmed it. I came in her 3 times, those massive tits. And I remember, as was common back then, that once I came, I just wanted nothing to do with her. I walked her out to the front of the hotel, and I basically said, hey, beat it. Take a hike. Kick rocks. Be gone, wench. And I made her walk all the way back to her resort alone, which was a fucking dick move. And I could see the disappointment in her eyes. And if I have a recommendation for you kids, don't do stuff like that. Be nice after you get laid. It'll only come back to bite you if you're just a dick to chicks after you fuck them. Artificial asks, what time of day do you read novels as opposed to self-help comedy books? Self-help comedy books during the day, actually when I first wake up, and then novels or more mellow nonfiction that's not going to get me ramped up right before I go to bed. In bed. A Cabo video would be sweet, dude. It would just be hard for me to be blacked out around a bunch of college tale and my girlfriend not want to kill me. It'd be hard to keep myself under control. I'd have to take a bunch of male birth control to lower my libido or show up in a chastity belt underneath my board shorts. You should come to the Netherlands. A lot of content here in Amsterdam, illegal shrooms and hookers everywhere. Not a bad idea. Will we ever see you in Boston? Perhaps. Lost my place. Scrolling up. Very awkward when Leo asked Dirty Dom if David Dobrik was gay at the very end of the podcast. I agree, dude. That was gnarly. Good on Leo for asking the hard questions, though. I would never get mad at Leo for asking a really hard question. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to find my place. How tight is me a starfish? Getting warmer. I would like to hear your favorite canceled comedians so we can mourn their careers together. Mine would have to be Dalia. I still have a signed poster. There aren't that many canceled comedians. Oh, what am I saying? Louis C.K., of course. Louis C.K. put out a comedy special essentially every single year, and they were all divinely good. He's great on the Opie and Anthony show. He's great on Adam Carolla. He's one of those guys who's hilarious in his written material and if you just prop a mic up in front of his face and let him talk for an hour. He's an idol of mine. Definitely Louis C.K. Who are your biggest influences for insults? That's tough. A lot of people, man. It's just a combo of everybody I listen to. Danny, I love the long videos, but do you worry that 40 minute videos might scare off new fans? No, I don't worry about it, dude. All I worry about is putting my all into the videos, making them as good as I can make them, and fans will come or not come. I love those short videos, but I would much rather a longer story piece, yeah. Leo's body count, I think he says 250. Where does Charles Bukowski rank on your favorite author lists? Probably in the top 5 or 7. What's the worst part of doing comedy, or hardest? Good question, Ben. I think the hardest for me is not repeating myself. Because not only is it that I don't want to repeat the same joke, for instance, a stand-up comedian repeats carbon copies of jokes every night in a new location. Obviously, I can't do that, but I don't even like to use the same comedic skeleton multiple times. An example of that being one that just came into my head when we were in the Salton Sea for the Imperial County video. I'm talking to the crazy homeless lady with a bunch of dogs, or the crazy RV park lady. I say, do you ever feed these dogs alcohol? Do you ever blow weed in their face? And I just keep escalating to more and more gnarly shit. And then at one point, do you ever crush up a tab of fucking ecstasy and shove it in the dogs? Whatever I was doing there. I found myself doing that in Kansas during one bit, and I shut it down because even though what I was referring to was different, the same escalation skeleton was there, and I had to divert because I didn't want to repeat myself. And so that can be difficult, but I love and what am I saying? Getting better and always being fresh is something I take pride in and enjoy doing. So it's not a burden for me to try to be fresh all the time. I wouldn't really say it's a bad thing. Ian is asking about books for stand-up. No, books for stand-up I can't really recommend, Ian. I would say for that, just a lot of reps doing stand-up. And Watch a lot of stand-up. Yeah, that's not a very complex equation. I saw a more liberal YouTube channel review, and of course they loved it. Jay, I assume, is referring to Borat 2. Ben says tier system for lives is Zoom, and 25 get some more options. Yeah, I got to do that. We're going to do a high budget intro for Patreon coming up. We'll do that. I love the live hangout idea. That sounds great, guys. Merch. I got to upgrade my merch too and get sharper there, because the more money I have coming in, the more money is getting put right back into videos. I want to get wild, man. I want to do a video on the Iliad and do it in fucking Greece. I want to, again, spend a week in Argentina and have my editor down there, Ian, have Nico down there, have my entire support system in one Airbnb. And that's expensive. But I know once I have that budget, I'm going to be putting in effort into my videos that nobody else is willing to put in. You know, Jackie wrote almost everything in the 90s for Howard Stern to say, right? Yeah, Bobby, I know what you're saying, that on the monitor, Jackie would punch in one-liners. But also there are times in the 90s when Howard Stern is on a machine gun rant, and there's no way he has time to be reading what he's saying. Howard Stern is an incredibly gifted broadcaster and comedian on his own without Jackie. I know Jackie probably wrote a lot of the genius bits that make the show great, and I'm sure he wrote Stern a shitload of great one-liners. But also, it's not as if Jackie is the puppet master to Howard Stern. Dude, Bobby, I'm not going to listen to Marcy Playground. I listened to their other song besides Sex and Candy, and it stunk. Andrew says the Danny Mullen crew should move to Vegas because Leo will like it. There are more Walgreens parking lots out there. That's what Andrew says. I would love to get out there, man. We can afford a mansion for a third of the price here, and we can get a studio on Fremont Street or on the Strip for us to run a killer podcast out of, where we're sending down Nico and Fan Jerry to bring us up drunk girls and any kind of characters we meet down there, interview them live in studio, make it an experience. I'm tired of these podcasters now, these comedians with podcasts, these YouTubers, who is just a fucking background, 2 chairs, 2 mics, and a camera. Not even 2 cameras. I have 3, and we don't even do ad reads. What are you fuckers doing that make $100,000 a month off your podcasts? It all comes down to good content for you guys. If we move to Vegas, we get the mansion. I could hire an editor and a camera guy to get around the house footage and put out a video on his own each week as supplementary content, in addition to the main channel shit that I will have most of the hand in the editing, and the podcast, which, as I just said, will kick ass. Has Jimmy Carr had much influence on you? Toby, not a whole lot. I like him. I like watching those traditional setup punchline joke guys. I think he's a genius, but he hasn't had as much influence as other comedians have had. Louis C.K., as I mentioned earlier, Nick DiPaolo. Do you agree Crystalia's podcast appearances are far superior to his stand-up specials? Without a doubt, TR. I think Crystalia is an innovative, important podcaster. I think his silliness he brings to radio is unique and groundbreaking, and I do think he's a comedic genius, but for some reason, it does not translate to stand-up with him. He's not like Louis C.K. I mentioned Louis C.K. is a master of both improvised on-mic comedy, meaning radio or podcast, and scripted or written stand-up comedy. Adam Carolla is a guy who's the opposite of Crystalia. Or no. Adam Carolla is the same as Crystalia. Adam Carolla's stand-up feels very stilted and unnatural, and his podcasting is obviously fantastic. A guy like Todd Barry, who I love, is weird. He's a great crowd worker and a great stand-up, but he's not super exciting on podcasts. There's another example of somebody who sucks on podcasts. Dave Attell. I've heard Dave Attell be pretty boring on podcasts, and he's one of my favorite comedians ever. How do you not think Opie and Anthony were Stern hacks? Yeah, I see it, Bobby. I get what you're saying. It's, I think Jimmy Norton being there, considering the level of talent that he was, made it legitimate. Jimmy Norton in his prime was unlike any other broadcaster. His speed, his nihilism, his jokes, his ability to make jokes that are just as strong as anything that's in any of his stand-up specials. Yeah, it's tough though, man. It's hard to know sometimes if somebody is a hack and is copying somebody or if they're just in the same genre at the same time. Yeah, I mean, I can see why Stern didn't like him. Danny, coming through for us weasels across the pond. What's up, man? European streaming times. I appreciate it. You got it, Yannick. You got it. What's your favorite animal? Platypus. Never seriously considered MMA. Pat O'Shan, opinions on election fraud. Go check it out, man. We talked about it on the podcast. The Leo and Danny Show Clips channel has an isolated clip of it that you can find really easily. Hollywood came and snipped off Jimmy Kimmel's balls with garden shears. Yeah. It is strange what happens to people once they reach the top and how their edginess just evaporates. Hollywood takes the sandpaper to them and shaves off any of those unwanted edges. Which late night host do you hate the most? Probably Seth Meyers. He's a little weasel. So does Crystalia ever plan on coming back? Callan has been a champ through this. Yeah, I agree, John. I think Callan took the right approach. My roommate and I were talking about this because Callan is only going to get Me Too'd once. He just fought through the fucking backlash, denied it all, kept putting shit out. He's making 30 to 40 grand on Patreon every month. Whereas D'Elia is going to get a second wave of Me Tooing when he comes back. And when you disappear like that, you make it seem like the charges are valid. It seems like you're saying to yourself, holy shit, they unearthed it. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. They're right. I'm evil. Those girls were underage. I can't control myself. I'm ashamed to show my face. I'm going to go on vacation for a year and a half. You look guilty. Whereas Callan not only denied it and kept going, he denied it in a video where he looked directly into the camera lens like I'm doing right now and told people that he didn't do it. His pulse looked low. He wasn't sweating. He seemed convicted. I believed it. I believed it. How many girlfriends have you had? About 3 or 4, but my one right now is definitely the most serious. Is fucking a girl when she's drunk and you're sober rape? No. Unless Pat O'Shan, she is... What's the cutoff there? Because we can probably boil this down to a singular BAC. I'm saying anything above a 0.23 is rape if you're sober. If she can drive a car, she can fuck. So that's 0.07 and down. If she's tipsy, you're good. Even if she's drunk, you're fucking good, dude. Isn't that what the feminists want? Women's autonomy over their own body and choices? She wants some dick. She worked hard this week. She spent $10.99 on a 6-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade. Let her get fucked. Your sobriety's beside the point. If she's stumbling, if she can't walk, maybe that changes things. But as they said in Superbad, it's not unethical if you're drunk too. Flag down the bartender. If it's last call, start drinking doubles. Tell Nico we said hi. How drunk are you getting Austin when he turns 21? We'll be on break, man. Sorry. How do you keep flowing when you make a mistake while improvising? You just got to push through it. You got to realize, Papa, that everybody makes mistakes. Howard Stern misspeaks. Jim Norton's another guy I talk about. He misspeaks. It happens. Colin Cowherd's a football guy I love. He's a fantastic broadcaster. I listen to him a lot for inspiration. He says and all the time. Push past it. Don't let yourself get upset about it. Sometimes that happens to me. I make a joke and I stutter or I slur the punch word, and I want to, in turn, punch myself in the face. But you never know when the next moment for comedy is going to come up. So you got to be in the moment. Yeah, Maya saying a proper interview about Leo and The Bachelor and the whole experience would be good. I agree. Why would a dude care about Leo's body count? It was 250. I already said it. Are you happier with a girlfriend now or when you were chasing pussy? Pat, I am much happier with a girlfriend. And I don't think I would have believed that when I was out chasing pussy. But when you're out chasing pussy, you depend on the next piece of pussy for validation. It's like with alcohol. When I was drinking more, on Sundays when I took a day off, I would turn to alcohol for stress relief. You see what you're doing there? You're masking problems in your personal life with substances. Liquor and the elixir of vagina. Whereas when you get rid of those, when you clean up the mess in your life, instead of metaphorically spraying Febreze on it, you address things you're not doing right. Maybe you're spending too much time on something that makes you unhappy. For me, maybe that was editing, and maybe that was my cue to hire an editing partner to take away some of the tedious parts. Maybe you're not working out enough. You don't have time for the gym. You got to make some time. Maybe you got to start meditating to get your head more clear. And when you don't have alcohol or pussy to chase, you're forced to make those changes. And chasing pussy is such a full-time or a part-time job that I don't know how you can be fully successful when you're dedicating a lot of time to it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't dedicate a period of your young life to chasing a lot of pussy. I did, and I had a lot of fun. But now I certainly would not be able to produce the kind of content I do produce if I were single and philandering. Single or philandering. Danny, you should go to the favelas. Toby wants me to get shot in Brazil. Yeah, Leo would do good in Chile or Argentina. Devontae said we should go to Honduras. He heard it's pretty safe over there. What is the longest you've gone without drinking? Since I started drinking, it's probably been this year, man. The only times I've drank this year, I think, were the Edward 40 Hands During Quarantine video. During the cross-dressing in the South video, I had a couple because I was really burned out and I needed to breathe some sort of life into myself. Mia's birthday party, and the day after, the morning of, actually, when I went back to my old job. I think I did drink twice off camera during my summer break. But those are the only times on camera, so I haven't drank since like September 17th. I think the spring, though, is the longest period in recent memory. Daniel met Austin on Grindr. I'm glad we have some LGBT people in this chat. Pat says the new Borat was horrible. Favorite Oasis song, Slide Away. Hey Now. Kyle, if you go overseas, how is your comedy going to flow with the language barrier? Kyle, you're right, man. A lot of things are going to have to change. And if we're in South America, too, we're going to have to be careful to not get drugged into a van and have our heads macheted. We might have to be a little nicer. I like Mark Normand a lot, TR is asking. He's a stand-up comedian from New York, has a lot of balls. I'd love to work with him. I messaged him on Instagram, and he didn't reply. Zinni, are all the crew physically confrontational when drunk, or is it more the Napoleonic members? What do you mean by Napoleonic, Zinni? They're great military leaders? I was trying to say another thing that Napoleon was known for other than being short. They got exiled to Elba? Their reputation died on the battlefield of Waterloo? Somebody asked me earlier about how you come back from fucking up an improv. There was an attempt, a failed attempt. It seems to be mostly Nico. Yeah, Iggy too. And I guess so far those are Napoleonic people. That's basically it, though. Iggy and Nico, right? Austin's happy as can be. Leo is not confrontational. Fanjerry isn't confrontational. He's just a slurry mess. He told me I was fat when he was drunk once, and I think he actually thought I was getting fat. No physical violence, though. Thomas, I don't have the Umber port. Actually, guys, I posted on here back in the day a picture. There's a video too, which is why I almost said video. A picture of me getting blown that Umber took, and it got taken down. Somebody from Patreon told me I had to take it down. Just finished watching the podcast and it's comedic gold. Bravo. See, Christopher, somebody who liked that podcast, even though I thought it was a piece of shit. Thanks, man. Please bring Ariel Pink on the podcast. He would be very interesting. I don't know how strong of a podcast guest he would be. I don't know how much he would like to be on the podcast either, but if he wanted to, I'd be fucking into it. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to breeze through these now because I do have to get to work writing for a video we have coming up in 2 weekends. Jim Norton is one of the best of all time, no question. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get back up to where I was so I can skim some of these. Sorry, guys. Oh, shit. Here we go. Danny is definitely getting Me Too'd, probably. We call that the Austin syndrome. What are you drinking? I'm drinking a Spindrift sparkling water. Total number of girls you've had sex with, 153. You said I know you're around 40. It's 153. I kept track. And again, I'm just saying that to be honest. I'm not saying that to try to be cool. When I was in San Francisco and when I was at UCLA, that's all I really cared about outside of writing. Which one of my characters is my favorite to play in videos? Jesse Hiss, baby. Umber on the pod, says Bryson. Umber and I had a falling out. When we got to San Francisco, he was one of those douches who, because he worked at Visa as an analyst making $100K a year, and because I worked in a kitchen as a busboy making 30, he wouldn't be friends with me. He stopped hanging out with cool guys from UCLA who were also in the banking finance circuit. So I don't really want him on the podcast. I would overlook that to have him on just because of the stories. Can success still be attained after 25? Absolutely. Almond Milk, that's a stupid question. Absolutely it can. Yannick, how strong is the urge to go back to being single and randomly hooking up with chicks? It comes and goes, man. I would be lying if I said that when I see a girl's post on Instagram who I follow, who is looking especially hot in that picture, there isn't a flash of lust that comes over me. And part of me isn't like, oh, God, I would love to get her on a plane to Vegas and meet her and get a suite and fuck her in the hot tub. That happens. But it happens to chicks when they're in relationships too. It happens to everybody. And to me, the focus that I've gotten from being in a relationship and the pride I take in being a good person who isn't cheating outweighs what I would gain from that one hookup. And I know because I've had plenty of those one-off hookups, and oftentimes you just feel like shit afterwards. What do you think about Louis C.K. snitching out Pete Davidson for smoking weed in the hotel? Pete Davidson's a piece of garbage. Pete Davidson probably was sucking, not doing anything at SNL. This story, by the way, is told in Pete Davidson's awful stand-up special. He probably fucking deserved it. Whatever Louis says, I'm on board. Danny, what have you learned from Leo and vice versa? I guess I've learned from Leo that I like the bro-y locker room sense of humor that him and I share, and I think that resonates with a lot of people. And I'm not sure what he's learned from me. Hopefully some work ethic stuff. Maybe. I don't know. Danny, what particular area of history did you study? It was all over the place, man. We didn't have to have a focus. Will you be coming to London next year? Blythe, I would love it. That's another reason why I would love to get the merch game locked down and to keep being more efficient on Patreon to get the crew out to fucking London for a month. You said you were coming to New York mid-November on the Q&A with Mia. I was going to, Dylan, but for financial reasons, we decided to go to San Francisco instead because I have to fly everybody up, or me and Leo actually split Nico's ticket and Leo pays for his own ticket. But then I get the rental car, the hotel, all the props, pay Nico for filming, pay Ian for editing, and those things add up because Nico is usually the last trip he was with us for 5 full days. So it's not like I just pay him for his working hours. I have to pay him for all the hours he's away from home. It gets expensive, dude. In New York, the accommodations are more costly. Time-wise, it takes a lot longer to get there. The flights are about 3 times as expensive. So we just decided to stay on the West Coast. Andrew loves the new video. I really liked it too, man. Thank you. What would you do if Mia asked if she can make an OnlyFans? No. Try to get a cut. If Dirte Dom is making 70 to 100K, I think old Danny can get 2 to 3. That'd be nice. Let's reach out to Tor Tarantula and get him on a video. I think Tor Tarantula wants nothing to do with me anymore. I think he became too much of an SJW. Are you a good wingman? C+. Have you read The 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson? I listened to it on the way back to LA from Sacramento a year or 2 ago. Top 3 favorite bands, asks TR. The Beatles, The Smiths, Oasis. Those are just 3 off the top of my head. How does Brooks have so many bitches? I'm not sure. It's impressive. You're welcome, Ian. Inland Iggy is a caretaker for school kids. He's not a teacher. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to look for... Devontae, we're not making a dedicated Thanksgiving or Christmas video, unfortunately. Yeah. Classicist Danny shooting a video of the Iliad at the very start of writing, is the very scene of writing. I guess that's where Western literature started. Vegas move will be wild. Sorry, guys. I know this is boring, me just fucking scanning this shit, but I'm just trying to see if there's anything pressing to go before I sign off here. Are you paying your members, Fan Jerry, Leo, Iggy? No, I don't pay anybody. I just pay for the shoots, and I give them the opportunity if they wish to make money. Fan Jerry has a YouTube channel and merch. Leo has a YouTube channel and a Patreon and merch. Inland Iggy has an OnlyFans, and he can make money. No people that I can think of in YouTube pay their crew members. David Dobrik certainly wasn't paying his crew members. Danny Duncan, he definitely houses his guys. I'm not sure if he pays them, but Danny Duncan also makes about $6 million to $8 million a year, so it's a little bit of a different situation. Do you ever watch Kill Tony? I don't. I would like to work with him, though. Andrew, do you think moving to LA is necessary for a career as a creative? I don't. I do not at all. And that's why I want to get to Vegas. Because I'm not even a collaborator. I'm not at the TikTok parties. I'm not at the Instagram houses. I'm in my room. I'm with my girlfriend or I'm with the crew making good content. That's all I care about. Do you consider radio and podcasting the same or different beasts? Radio's different because I suppose you have to account for ads and you have to say the name of the station, and there are all these technical difficulties and differences, whereas podcasting is pretty much an hour and a half blank canvas. But I would like, Shaw, for our podcast to eventually move more like a Stern show, where there are bits and there are interviews and there are scheduled call times, as opposed to me and Leo just being on a couch talking. And I think slowly it's moving in that direction. Do you think Joe Rogan is funny? He's not one of my favorite comedians. I think he's a cool guy, though. Ben likes my answer about the length of my videos. Hell yeah. Do you still watch the UFC? Not as much anymore these days, man. Would you beat Logan Paul in a UFC fight? I'd probably submit him. I might get beat up a little bit. That guy's a really good athlete, good wrestler. He's got some good striking. Jim Norton is one of the best of all time. Yep. Chip Chipperson. Chip Chipperson. Thomas, when you lived on the fighter block, what was the craziest thing that happened? Let me see. If there isn't anybody else asking anything substantial, Thomas, I'll try to give you an answer to that. Ben wants me to go to Greece. I got a BA in history, Larry. Do you think you'll get soft once you get to the top? I don't think I'm ever going to get to the mainstream top, Shaw. I think I'm always going to be one of the bad boys or one of the black cloaked villains of the internet. I think a good model for myself would be to be more of an iDubbbz, Tim Dillon, even PewDiePie. I don't really watch PewDiePie, but he's not mainstream. You occasionally see him in the tabloids in a headline here or there, but none of the mainstream people really get him. Nelk is another great example. Like, Nelk doesn't have to fucking tone down their shit. They don't give a fuck. They aren't big enough, but they're still making tens of millions of dollars a year, probably. So that's where I want to be. I want to be coasting at that multi-million-dollar income level every year, but not be big enough or have a sponsor to answer to, like American Airlines or Procter & Gamble, where I do have to start kissing Obama's ass. Dylan wants Jesse from Nelk and me to do a skateboarding edit. Yeah, man, Jesse and I have been hanging out and talking a little bit recently. I think he'd probably be down for that. That sounds fucking tight, man. TR is asking if D'Elia's close comedian friends backstabbed him or didn't stand by him when all of these rumors came out or when all of these texts came out. Yeah. It's tough. I'm not sure to what extent they actually didn't stand by him. It seems to me like he took his own self-imposed hiatus. So it's not as if Theo Vaughn or Joe Rogan, even if they wanted to, could have reached out and put him on a show with them or something to continue to give him exposure, because it's pretty clear D'Elia didn't want any more exposure at that time. The guy who I'm thinking of is Brendan Schaub. It seems like Brendan Schaub flat out told Brian Callen that he didn't want to do the fighter and the kid with him anymore. It's tough, man. I want to say, oh, he was a coward. It was a pussy move. It was nonsense. And I brought Leo onto my channel fresh after he got Me Too'd. But I get how dark those accusations were. When the word rape is being thrown around as opposed to "you need my big dick" in a comment, it is a little different. But, dude, I've seen so many people in my own life be falsely accused of rape that I know it can happen, and I don't think an accusation of rape at all equates to, in reality, a rape. So, yeah, I don't love what Brendan Schaub did. I don't. And the amount of money they were making on their podcast and on stand-up, it's not like some executive from some studio in Hollywood said to Brendan Schaub, you either take this deal and make $10 million and stop talking to Bryan Callen, or continue to work with Bryan Callen and make minimum wage for the rest of your life. That's not how it shook down. They were both multi-millionaires before this thing happened. So I feel like when you have that kind of money, you can tell the public, you can tell Twitter, you can tell big corporate advertisers to go fuck themselves. And you can stick with your friends. Schaub's got a family, though. He clearly has an expensive fucking lifestyle. He's buying Ferraris and Porsches all the time. How often do you have contact with Nelk? No, I'll probably talk to him a couple times a month. Bay Area Dave TV. Danny is the stand-up of a teenage girl and outdated jujitsu. I can berimbolo, dude. That's cutting-edge stuff. Bay Area Dave TV. This might be an up-and-coming YouTuber trying to rile me up. At least he paid me. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to scroll. Danny, do you ever feel weird with fans that are a lot younger? You handle it really well at the meetups. I'm 32, so I know the age gap. Yeah, Ben, I'm surprised how many kids show up to meetups who are under 18, because according to my YouTube statistics, like 3% of my audience is under 18. They might be changing their account ages so they can see age-restricted videos, which is great. I hope they're doing that. Somebody saying Logan Paul would smash me in a fight. Dude, Logan Paul, if he took me down, it is very likely I would triangle him. I have a really, really deadly triangle off my back, so I would never be out of the fight, even if he kicked my door in right now and I had to fight him. Favorite female comedians? What's her name? Megan. Let me see. I'll tell you who right now. I'm a fucking dummy. This live stream is spiraling into the ground. There was a chick who recently there leaked images of Louis C.K. at a comedy festival, and it was him, Dave Chappelle, Bob Saget, and then this girl who I thought was one of the mainstream PC pussy comedian chicks. But no, she's hanging out with Louis C.K. And her name is, she's got the frizzy red hair, and she's the runner girl. And she apparently doesn't give a fuck and is down to hang out with Louis C.K. And I really respected that. But my favorite female comedian from an actual merit-based standpoint, and not that ridiculous thing I just mentioned. Oh, that's tough. I like Lisa Lampanelli on the old roasts. That's all I got. Yeah, I guess it's pretty obvious they're not my favorite. All right, guys, I got to get back to writing. Did I vote? No, man, I didn't. I wasn't registered. I didn't find that out until while we were in the middle of a bit. So, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I know I didn't get to everybody. We're going to revamp this live on Patreon to make it more valuable to you guys so I can get to everybody, maybe have some face-to-face interaction. I really appreciate your input today on how I can do that smoother. You guys had some good suggestions. And I appreciate all of you for being here and making this channel what it is, making the content. I mean, if you look back at last fall's content compared to this fall, you can't even compare it. It's like a different channel. And that's thanks to you guys. Appreciate you. I'll be back on soon. Thank you so much.